Oh, yeah. Welcome in. I'm Artris, and in this video, we're going to be covering Buggy, a new leader from OP09 that I have been adamantly trying to avoid covering on this channel, simply because I find this leader rather unplayable. Buggy is a 5-life leader in the color of blue that says activate main, you may rest 5 Dawn and discard 1 card from your hand. Play up to 1 character with cross skill type from your hand. So the whole premise of this character, this leader, is you're supposed to be able to cheat out bodies, of course at the cost of your hand size. That seems pretty good, right? However, in a meta where you are constantly being taxed through Doflamingo hitting you every turn with 4 or 5 bodies, or Shanks hitting you really tall towards the end game, this leader can be very difficult to pilot in those matchups, and therefore I find it probably the worst leader to come out of OP09. Not saying it's an awful leader altogether, but man, once you get going with this, it just doesn't feel great. It feels like it's missing something. Oh yeah, it is missing something. That missing something is this blue Buggy 7 cost that is a promo that just hasn't come out. And I don't know if it will come out from Bandai, but the whole thing here is that it is a static character, cannot attack, but if your leader is Buggy, so specifically made for this leader, all cost 3 and 4 characters cannot attack, which means it turns off all of Doflamingo's characters, it turns off a lot of aggro decks, and therefore you can play a little bit more of a late game because of this character. When is it coming out, Bandai? We are sitting here waiting for this card for the longest time for Buggy to be playable with this, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem like it's going to be coming out anytime soon, and therefore Buggy just doesn't seem like a leader that I would recommend for most people to play. However, I have gotten a few requests to play this leader, and so therefore I will oblige and try to make this work in the meantime. But before we go over the deck list and how this deck operates, please make sure to drop a sub if you haven't and give the video a like if you end up enjoying it. It helps out the channel so much. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please make sure to join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below. So here we go. Mr. 1 Dawsbones is a 5-cost 6,000 power, 1k counter. If your leader's type includes Baroque Works, your leader does not. This character gains 1,000 power for every 2 event cards in your trash, so that whole line is kind of just null for your leader. However, what's important here is that it is a Baroque Works that says on play, draw 2 cards, then trash 1 from your hand, so a great way to filter. There's a way to cheat this out with an additional card that we'll get to in a little bit. Then we're playing 4 of the 5-cost 7,000 power Crocodile. This is a 1k counter from OP02. It's an Impel Down and former Baroque Works, as you can see. We kind of have a little bit of a theme going on. We're going to be getting into our cross-skilled characters here shortly, but we do have a couple of cross-skilled characters that cheat out Baroque Works, so that's why we have a couple of these characters in the meantime. Then we're running 4 Kaya. This is a great way to be able to dig further into the deck. 2k counter, and you're able to bounce it back with cards like Jozu if you do play it down. So Jozu is a 6-cost, 7,000 power body. It says on play, you may return one of your characters other than this card to your hand. Return up to 1 and cost 6 or lower character to the original owner's hand. So you can play Kaya down and then play the Jozu and bounce the Kaya back. So you're at least digging a little bit further into the deck, and then you get the 2k back. This is also a pretty good form of removal for your opponent's board as well. Then we're playing for Kabaji. This is a cross-skilled card from OP09 that says if you have a character Buggy or Moji in play, this character cannot be KO'd in battle. Somewhat relevant, however, it is a 2k, which is more important. You can play this out with your leader ability or cheat it out with another card. However, this one's mostly going to be a card you play for the 2k. Then the probably most important card in this deck besides the 10 cost is the 7-cost Crocodile, 7-cost 7,000 power. On play, play up to 1 character with a cross-skill type or with a type including Baroque Works and a cost of 5 or less from your hand. Very important here is that the Baroque Works are in quotation marks, which means that you can play former Baroque Works off of this. It doesn't have to be necessarily Baroque Works exactly, whereas cross-skilled is in the brackets, which means that you have to have exactly cross-skilled. If there was a former cross-skilled, you wouldn't be able to play it, but if the Baroque Works was in the bracket, then you would not be able to play former Baroque Works. I know that's kind of a little bit of a weird technical thing within the game, but that is something to point out, which is why we're able to cheat out like this Crocodile, because it says former Baroque Works in the title, because it says former Baroque Works in the description. So you're able to actually play this with this Crocodile effect. This is probably the most important card here because you're able to get 2 big bodies out in a single turn for 5 Dawn. So you can use your leader ability, pay 5 Dawn, pitch a card, and then play the 7 cost, and then the 7 cost brings out a 5 cost onto the field. Of course, you are going down 3 cards in hand size, which leads me back to the whole point of why I don't think this leader is necessarily that strong, because you are eating at your own hand over time to gain tempo, which I personally don't think is great. You can use this to your advantage in some scenarios. Overall, not an amazing thing to be doing. Then we're running 4 of the new Mihawk blocker. This is an on-play draw 2 cards, then discard 1 card from your hand. So you're able to go up 1 in hand size, or I guess maybe just net neutral at that point because you're playing 1, drawing 2, discarding 1. So you're really just going even. But you are able to fix your hand with this card. You can cheat this out with your leader ability, so you're actually getting it out on 5 instead of 6. So that's also nice as well, something to keep in mind. Then one of the reasons you would probably want to even play this leader to begin with is the 10 cost Buggy from OP09. It says on play, return up to one of your opponent's characters to the bottom of the deck. Then if you do not control 5 characters with a cost of 5 or more, return this character to the bottom of the deck. So you're trying to fill out your board with a bunch of 5 cost or higher characters. Then you play this Buggy out as the 5th character for only 5 Dawn, and you can bottom deck anything on the opponent's side of the field. Then you have a pretty stacked board along with this 10 cost, which is probably going to win you the game if it's able to stick. Then we're running for Emoji. This is a 2K counter cross-guild card from OP09. The on-play is not necessarily super important, but I'll go over it anyway. You can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Richie and put it into your hand, then place the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order, and then play up to 1 Richie from your hand. So this is basically like Ohm Holy for yellow, where you're able to get a card from the top 5 and then play it out for free. If you already have the card in hand, you can then search the top 5 and then play it out from hand. I'm not running any Richies, so the effect doesn't matter at all. Then we're running 4 of the Mr. 1 Dawsbones, just a great vanilla card, 5 cost, 7,000 power, cross guild, and former Baroque work. So another card to be able to cheat out with the 7 cost Crocodile. So your primary targets here for the Crocodile will be this Crocodile or the Mr. 1 Dawsbones. Most of the time I'm looking to bring out the bigger stat lines, because the 7K beater is just really just too good. Of course, the Mr. 1 Dawsbones has great utility for slightly less attack, but these 3 are your main go-getters from the 7 cost Crocodile. Then I'm running 4 of the Mr. 3 Galdino from OP09. It's a searcher that looks at the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you can reveal up to 1 cross-skill type or a type including Baroque works other than this card, and then put it into your hand, then put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this will just allow you to grab cards you might need to be able to either cheat out with Crocodile, or you can find the Crocodile, or you can find the Buggy. You can find pretty much everything in this deck, minus like a couple of cards like the Kaya, Jozu, Sanji's Pilaf here. You're unable to grab this, and the Red Rock, which we'll get to in a second. But the important thing here is that with Sanji's Pilaf, as I've mentioned, you are going down in hand size quite often. And so I feel like it's important to be able to get your hand size a little bit higher up. And so Sanji's Pilaf is a good card for that. Early game, you're going to be able to play it on 3, because on your 3 Dawn turn, you're either swinging 8, you're playing a Mr. 3, or you're playing Sanji's Pilaf. You're doing one of those 3 options. And in my opinion, Sanji's Pilaf is the best out of those 3, just because you're able to draw 2 cards off of it. If it's in life, the trigger is amazing because it just gets you the trigger, the draw 2 cards. So amazing to see there. This is basically just Pot of Greed for One Piece. So if you're unfamiliar with Pot of Greed, what does Pot of Greed do? Draws 2 cards. And then finally, to wrap things up, we're running 2 Red Rocks as a backup plan to the 10 cost Buggy, just in case we don't have Buggies, or maybe we've played them too early and we've had to bottom them. We have Red Rocks as a way to answer big threats. One of the other problems with this deck is that you're kind of just not able to answer like a wide amount of threats. You can answer tall threats pretty easily with the Red Rock and Buggy, but you kind of have to just hope that you don't get swarmed the board with like so many bodies coming at you. That's one of the reasons why you're able to cheat out. That's why one of the reasons why that 7 cost is so good is because you can handle tall really well. Wide, not so much. The only way that you can really handle wide with this deck is by going wide yourself and then fighting the board. But you really don't want to be tapping your units too much, because you are going down in hand size to play out your units, and then therefore you're going to go down further in hand size to protect them. You kind of want your opponent to direct the attacks at your face and then build up the board, play out the 10 drop, and then kind of like a drop in a bucket, you just swing all out to really put the pressure on the opponent. That's kind of the game plan with this deck, at least how I've played it. It is very difficult, not gonna lie. I wouldn't recommend this for a competitive scene, unless, of course, maybe you're expecting a whole boatload of Blackbeard. There's a really cool interaction that you have with Blackbeard where they turn your on plays off, and then you can just cheat out this 10 cost Buggy. So you have, for 5, you bring out a 12,000 power body, which that's very overwhelming for Blackbeard to have to deal with. Otherwise, if they don't turn your on-play effects off, you can actually just cheat out bodies and swarm the board. So that's probably one of the matchups that you're going to be actually really good into. Other than that, you're going to be struggling into most decks, I would imagine. So let's take it into the sim and see if we can get some wins off of it. With any luck, we'll be able to, so let's check it out. Okay, Katakuri, I think, is going to be one that should be actually a decent matchup for us if we're able to cheat out bodies. We can swarm the board at some point in the game, and these bodies that are going to be on the board will likely be around 7k base stats, which is pretty good for us. The only downside that I see is that we do have a lot of 5 costs in the deck, and Katakuri runs Namis, so they can handle our 5 costs pretty easily. But this hand is kind of weird. We have a lot of 2Ks, not a lot of early game, but we do have the Sanji's peel off here, so we'll go 5 at lead and see if they take it or counter out. Hopefully they just take it, so we can at least feel a little bit more comfortable getting them to a lower life total. With Katakuri, it's a little bit of a rush to try to like swarm the board here. So on our next turn, hopefully we can draw into 7-cost Crocodile and then be able to cheat out another body with that. So we're really depending on getting this Sanji's peel off, getting something good off of it. And unfortunately, we just get another 2K and then a 10 drop. I gotta be honest, we're not gonna be running too many of these 10 drops, so at least we have some pitch fodder for when we do get some bodies that are playable in the meantime. Because we're never going to be dropping 2 buggies. At least I don't think we will. They play out a Hiyori to stack the top of the life. This might be a body, or it could be a KO trigger, one of the two. So let's go ahead and just like swing first no matter what, and then see what we get from there. They go 8 into 5. We'll take it. We have a Crocodile. Ooh, and then we drew into the 7-cost. Perfect for us. Let's swing 5 first in case this is a KO trigger. And then we can pitch a buggy to bring out the Crocodile, which will then cheat out the other Crocodile. So then we'll have 2 7k bodies on the field. Really good here. This is a lot of pressure. This will be really tough for them. They did pitch out a Nami to protect that life, which is good for us because that means that Nami is not going to be coming down this turn, maybe. Okay, so they have an O-Nami instead. This one, I'm not really too worried about because that means they're not establishing a board. So if they decide to go all in and banish me here for 10k, I'll just take it. I don't mind this. And it's a Kaya. We already have enough 2Ks anyway, so it's fine. So let's swing this Crocodile first just because they do have triggers that can KO 5 costs. And it's a Soul Pocus. I'm going to trash my life. I'm not going to let them heal up. Let's just add the pressure on. We'll go 7, 7. We'll swing another 7 here. They have a trigger, Parasparrow trigger, pretty solid for them. A body on the board. Pitching an ace. Do they have another trigger? Oh my gosh. I'm like, it's Satori. Okay, so they're going to swarm the board themselves, but with less threatening bodies. We'll just play out the Crocodile outright. It doesn't make sense to use our leader ability since we can just play the Crocodile for 5 anyway. We don't need to pitch a card for that. Just in case anybody was wondering. We actually have a pretty sizable board to try to go for lethal this next turn, and it looks like they're trying to actually counter lethal us here. So let's go ahead and just counter out of this 5, because I don't know what other attacks they might have. They might have something to boost up, like an Amaru, so we don't want to like take any risks in the meantime. Parasparrow for 5, we'll counter out of this one, and then we're pretty comfortable taking hits here. I think we can take the next couple of hits because I don't want them to direct any huge attack towards one of the rested characters. So if they go 6 here, well, we can take it. We can take the Satori hit for 6, and then we can take the Katakuri leader swing for 7. We'll counter out of that one, so we'll just take it all. And then hope that the last life isn't a good trigger. Okay, they just gave up because they realized that it was over at that point. We had a lot of 2K counters. We were going to be able to survive. They had no last life, like 0-cost event, so yeah, we put the pressure on pretty quickly. Red-Yellow Sabo is going to be another difficult matchup, and I'm probably going to say this every time I queue up to someone. It's going to be a difficult matchup just because it's buggy. But I think Sabo is like a semi-aggro deck, or at least most build it like kind of like an aggro deck where there's like triggers that come out of life, and so you have to worry about that. So if they do like amass a pretty wide board, I don't think we'll be able to hang, but we'll see what we can do. So we swing 5, they take it. Sanji, of course, Sanji trigger. As I mentioned, body's coming out of life, and we'll just go 5 with the Galdino. So just pressuring him even harder, just getting him to a lower life total. Although I'm pretty sure Sabo wants to be at like around 2 life anyway when they start doing their thing. We'll see how it goes though. This turn, they decide to go 5 into the Galdino. Probably the smartest play, to be quite honest, just because I would have probably Jozu'd it if it was going to be standing the next turn. Here, I feel like it's just fine to go 5 at lead, see if they give me a counter or take. They'll probably give me a counter. And I feel like we could probably just cheat out. No, I think we could probably just play out the Mr. Bones instead, the Mr. 1 DOS Bones. I think the one that probably is big, like vanilla, is probably our better option here. I like 5, 6, draw 2, trash 1, but I like 5, 7 just a little bit better. Ooh, they're running ace. Okay. It's very interesting here. They might be running the baby aces as well, which is, I think, a pretty solid way to build the deck. We get a really lucky red rock trigger, so we'll just bottom deck the Nekomamushi. They put the ace into life and then give plus 2,000 power to the Sanji. I'm going to assume they're going to attack. Yeah, that makes sense here. Fine with me. I will go ahead, and I was thinking about doing a Kaya and then Jozu, but I actually just think we might cheat out this Crocodile instead. We'll go 7, 7, just pressure them really hard here. Since they want to swing 7s at us, we can swing 7s at them. We'll pitch the Jozu, play out the Crocodile, and cheat out the Mr. 1 Dazbones. So now we have 3 7k bodies and a lot of Dawn to work with here. 2 life. They're probably going to play the ace again. If they pressure us with just a 5 swing, we'll counter out of that one pretty easily. It looks like they were tapping their Sanji at least, so let's see what they have. Obviously, the replaying of the ace is fine here. They'll go 7 at lead. I think we'll just take this one and kind of just see what else they are going to do. We have plenty of counter to be able to survive, but are we able to pressure them on the crackback is the question here. 7, 7, and then we're just going to go to 0 life because I think we're going to close out the game next turn. Oh, ace. Okay, they did have the baby ace. This is going to be a close one. We'll go 1 and 2 to counter out of this one, and then we just have enough to counter out of the 8. We did get a little bit lucky there. I was thinking they might have the baby ace, but I wasn't expecting them to actually play it. 7, they'll counter out of the 9 to 7. They can't counter out of this one, and then we'll just close out with a 12 to 7. Doubt they'll be able to counter out of that. Wow, they were really aggressive there. We got pretty lucky that we had exact counter to be able to survive. Oh boy, Enel, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I think if we're able to flood the board, we should be okay. However, they like to starve, and they're not going to swing into us at all. So they are going to be able to either Katakuri most of our units or pop them with Yamato. So that's something to be aware of. I feel like this hand is fine because we have the Sanji's peel off. But in this instance, we usually, or at least I see Buggies running like Pudding. I'm not running Pudding because it doesn't meet the stipulation for the 10 cost Buggy because it's a 4 cost character. So I wish I had it just for this matchup though. Anyway, to the game here, just so you're aware, I played out the 7 cost Crocodile into the Mr. 1 Dazbones. I didn't swing because I was afraid of a trigger. I probably should have swung first, but that's okay. Here, we're going to go ahead and play out the Jozu to bounce the Mr. 3 back to hand. We'll do that first in case there is a trigger. I don't want to swing and then have the Mr. 3 be popped, just in case they want to. And then we'll bounce the Frankie back because the Braum is not really something that I'm too worried about. It's not really that threatening. We'll play out the Mr. 3 again, and I think we grab a Buggy just to grab as many 10 drops as possible. The reason that the 10 drops are super important in this matchup is because they are able to bottom deck whatever top threats that the Enel puts out. And of course, here goes the Katakuri train. They're able to put the 7 cost Crocodile into my life, making it very difficult to establish a board. But of course, we have our own 7 cost Crocodile to put out to cheat out another body. If this whole board stays this turn, which why would it? Because they have Katakuri. I was going to say we should be able to cheat out the Buggy here. Oh my gosh, I misclicked, but this is also kind of an unfortunate happening. I pitched emoji to be able to play out a Crocodile, but the Crocodile is not cross-guild. So we're going to have to bottom deck our own Buggy. That's rather unfortunate there. I think if we were able to play the Crocodile first and then pitch the Buggy, or pitch the emoji to play out the Buggy, would have been fine. Yamato instantly punishes us. We have a Sanji's Peel off to draw. And then here with the Mihawk to draw 2 trash 1. I think we just trash the Jozu so that we have 2 2Ks, a body to cheat out, and then a 10 cost as well. I think that's probably best for us. They go Flampe to take their last or their second life because I'm not swinging into them at 2. And they go ahead and Raigo the Mihawk, which is pretty good for us because we can actually apply some pressure here. We're actually able to pitch the Crocodile to play out the Buggy, then bottom their Yamato. And I think we actually swing here. We swing 5, 7, 7, 7. And we might be able to pressure them pretty well. Okay, so they get a beige trigger. Unfortunate, but let's go ahead and swing our Crocodiles. This will likely either get them to 0 or they'll use the Shirahoshi here. Shirahoshi block to stay at 1. They might have a healer this turn, which would be rather unfortunate. So they go in and they play Raigo again. And then they go 9 into 7. I think we just let that one go. And then they go 8 into 7 here. I think that we counter and let that one stay alive. Let's go ahead and swing 7. We're going to pressure their face because 7's at face for Enel is really annoying to deal with. 7 at face again. See if they take it. They do. And they get a 0 cost event, so they're at low hand size, which is really good for us. I don't think we push them any further. I think we actually just pressure their Katakuri here. And I think we just play out this Crocodile. I think it's Crocodile to put out the emoji, and yes, we will be at 0 cards in hand, but they have a couple of like options to play here. Either they stack down on their leader and this Braum and swing into the board, or they play out a big body. Either one of those I think is okay. If they're not establishing a big body, that's good for us. If they, which looks like they're not, if they establish a big body, it means we get to keep ours. Okay, cool. I'm actually okay with this. This is not the worst result for us. I think we go 7 at face. We're just going to continue to pressure their face overall because they're at low hand size here. So they counter out. They don't want it to go to 0, which is good for us. We can pressure the board. We'll play the Jozu, bounce the 2K back, and then bounce the Frankie. And then I will just go ahead and pass the turn from that point. They play an ace, get the rush out, and unfortunately that's going to be goodbye for us. We will go ahead and Red Rock. We got really lucky here. We're playing really fast. We're going back and forth. I think we're both adept at what we're doing here, so the Enel definitely understands how to play this matchup, whereas I understand how to play against Enel because I've played quite a lot of Enel over time. They get another ace here, but they're not going to swing with it because they don't want us to pressure it. That's fine. We'll use the Mr. 3 to play out or grab a Kabaji. We're just going to play out the Kabaji just to have a body on the board. And this is where we are running out of resources, so it's rather difficult for us. Of course, the Flampe to get the Yamato KO, so they get a card draw. Unlucky for us, but it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and play out this other emoji as well. Our hand is 0, but we're not going to swing anything. We have a wide board, and let's see what they do. Gidatsu to KO the Kabaji into a Nami to KO Mr. One Dazbones. It's looking pretty grim here, but we do get a Sanji's Pilaf to draw 2 more. We'll get another Sanji's Pilaf to draw another 2. And here I feel like we just kind of have to pass. I don't want to have them at 1. I don't want them to use any more Yamatos to heal up and KO stuff, so it is what it is. But here I am hoping that they eventually start swinging into me. But they don't. They just play another Katakuri. And this is such a grindy matchup. We'll go ahead and play out the Mr. One Dazbones, and I think we can pitch maybe the Mihawk because we're not going to be able to play it. We'll just play out the Mr. One outright. We're trying to build a wide board again as best we can here, because if we were able to build a wide board, we can play out the 10 drop and then maybe pressure their face. Here, they're finally deciding to attack into us. We'll take as many hits as possible. As you can see, I'm just snap taking. I will counter out of this one just in case they decide to go 10 drop and swing with that as a rush unit, but they don't. They just play 10 drop and heal. Here, I should be able to probably pitch the Mr. One, play out the blocker Mihawk, pitch a Jozu, and then pitch maybe a Gum Gum Red Rock to play out a 10 drop, bottom one of their 10 drops, and then maybe pressure for 1 swing. We have a wide board again, and we have a fair amount of 2Ks to be able to survive a lot of these hits coming at us. I don't think it's smart to swing the rest of the board here. They might have a KO trigger. We'll see what they do. Okay. They decide, well, maybe it is good to, I don't know. I feel like swinging the board here is kind of a bait, because then they might swing into our units and we don't have enough to protect them. We want them to swing life as they are doing, 10, 9. And here if they decide to go really tall, then it could be a problem, but I think we're okay. They decide to play Nami first. That's fine. To KO our Mr. One Dazbones. It's fine. Everything's fine. Well, let's not lose, please. 6 into face, and then 8 into face. We'll take this one. 10 into face. We'll counter out of this one. And hold on to your seats, lads. We are going for game. 7 into 5. Let's see what we do. We'll go 9 into life. They take it. We can go 2 more 9s, barring that there's not a trigger out of life. Another 9. Will they counter out? They have to here, or else they are going to be in trouble. They have it. They have enough. They don't have enough for another 9, so this, if there's a trigger, it's a trigger. No trigger. Oh my god. 12 into lead. Let's go. We actually squeaked that one out. We got pretty lucky there. They played it really well, and we held on by the skin of our teeth. All right, Shanks is a matchup that I think if we're able to establish a wide board and not really swing with it, not give them a reason to swing into our units, we should be okay, I think, in theory, right? Of course, it's buggy, so none of this really matters. This hand is okay. I think this hand's fine because we have a Red Rock. We have a Pilaf to be able to draw into stuff. I'm just testing them to see if they're awake. Going 5 into 5, just always swing. It doesn't matter if they're going to use their leader ability. Make them use it. I think that's always important to do. And they do. So then we'll play out the Sanji's Peel Off, hopefully draw something good off of it. 7 cost is always what we like to see in these early stages, especially if we're going into 5, but doesn't seem like we're going to get it unless we get it off of the life or top card of the deck. If it comes from neither of those places, I think I might, if they build a board here, I might not want to play the Peel Off, but if they don't play anything super threatening this turn, like if it's like maybe a Lucky Roo, okay, so it's a Hongo, we're not threatened by that, so let's go ahead and play the Peel Off this next turn, and we'll swing for 7. Just to add a little bit of pressure, maybe get a 2k out of hand because they'll leader ability 2k, or maybe they just take it. Either way, I'm building up as big a hand as possible so that when I do play out units, I can protect them. And also, just I want to see as many cards as possible so that I'm able to find what I need. Because once again, we're looking for the 7 cost Croc, and we're unlucky that we've played 2 Peel-Offs and have not seen it quite yet. So we've played 2 Peel-Offs, we've drawn twice, and we've seen 1 card off the top of our life. So out of that, I'm surprised we haven't seen a single 7 cost, but oh well. I digress. Maybe we'll see it here soon. If not, I might play out the Mihawk, or I might just play out the 5 cost Crocodile and call it a day. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if it's worth playing out the 6 cost Mihawk blocker, because obviously you have to pitch a card for it to be played at 5 Dawn, or if it's just better to play out the 5 cost Croc. I think it's better to play out the Vanilla Croc maybe, because you're not losing too many cards out of hand to play a body, but we'll see. Okay, so they play an Ace here. I think Ace is fine because that means we can still pressure them potentially. Oh, they're playing Hongo. They're just like tapping Hongo here, which maybe that's bait. Sometimes people, like I know Blackbeard players will tap their Dock Q to like bait you to swing into it. Oh, we get to finally get the 7 cost Croc. Let's go. I'm going to swing into the Hongo because I want this thing off the field. If this Hongo actually sticks, that means that they can Hongo their 7 cost Crocodile and they can Ben Beckman it. And I don't want that happening. So we're super lucky that they're trying to use that as bait. So we'll go ahead and play the 7 cost to bring out the 5 cost and then pass. So now they don't really have a good way of answering these bodies. If they play a Rayleigh, it just means that they shrink the bodies down, but they don't KO anything. But they are, yeah, they're at 5 Dawn, or sorry, 8 Dawn. So they couldn't play like a Notama either. Regardless, they're playing Dragon. So I think Dragon's a pretty good option for them to play here. The reason I think Dragon's pretty good is because like it just puts pressure on us, and I'm not going to counter out of the 7 and I'm not going to counter out of the 9. I'll go down to 1 life. I know that seems risky, but I think we have enough counter in hand to be able to survive. We'll have a blocker to play with the Mihawk. And the whole goal here is to be able to build up a wide board so we can drop our 10 drop here. I'm going to swing 5. Just off the bat, I'm going to swing 5 to them. But before then, I'll play out the Mihawk blocker just to see what we get. I think it's okay to pitch the Peel Off maybe. But I want to swing 5 into 5 because I want them to use their leader ability on this swing, which they do. And to be honest, like, I'll swing 7 into 5 to see if they give me a 2 and a 1. If they take it, I might want to pressure face. But I also kind of feel like I want to pressure this dragon and get 2 cards from their hand because I know they're going to take this if it goes to face. So I want 2 cards out of their hand instead so that it makes it easier for us to push lethal when we really need to. Maybe I should have swung into the dragon first. Maybe to actually guarantee that it could be easier to take care of. Either way, I think what we're doing is fine. We are getting cards out of hand, which is really good here. We're getting information as well. They give us a 2k and a 1k. So Lime Juice and Yasop, good for us. And we have a blocker to be able to protect from going to lethal. They're going to be at 10 Dawn. So this could be a Shanks turn. It is not. It's a Rayleigh. That's actually really good for us that they didn't play anything that has a rush unit attached to it, a rush keyword attached to it, because that means we're able to at least maybe stabilize this turn. If we're able to protect these rested units, then I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, let's see what they do. Let's see if they focus their attention towards my face or if they focus the attention towards the board. If I was the Shanks, I might want to focus my attention towards the board. The other thing here is that if they pressure face, like if they have a Goldie Roger, then they might be able to just like get me to 0 and then I have a blocker and I lose the game. Where are they taking this 11? 11 into the... Okay, we're going to counter out of this one. We're going to keep our board alive. We need these units to stay alive in order to play out the 10 drop this next turn. Because they didn't drop a Shanks, I think it's fine to establish his Buggy and be able to get rid of the Dragon. But yeah, let's see what they do here. They have a 6, so the 6 is definitely coming to our face here. They have an 8. I'm going to... Actually, I don't know why I just did that. My brain just turned off. I just blocked and then give him a 2k because it's the same thing as just giving him a 2k. I just lost a 2k for no reason. Oh my god. This is what I get for playing Buggy. My brain just turns off. Okay, so we'll go 5 into 5. Hopefully use their leader ability here because then we're going to give our attention, if they give the leader ability towards our leader swing. I can't even believe I just did that. Oh my gosh, what an idiot. So then we'll go 7 into 6. We're turning our attention towards the ace because I want the ace off the field. And they might give us a counter or not. I'm not sure. They might be bricked up. Sometimes Shanks just doesn't have any counter whatsoever. We'll go 7 into 5. If they let the ace go, they're probably going to take this, which they do. And we're going to swing this Mihawk blocker, actually, because we have a second one that we can play. I'm going to pitch out the Red Rock to play out the Mihawk. I think we'll pitch out the Dawes Bones, and then we'll go ahead and pitch out maybe the second Mihawk or the other Mihawk to play out the Buggy to bottom deck their Dragon there. And then this turn we have a wide board. We're protected from any 10 drops that they might play. If they have a Shanks, then that means they're only going to be able to swing 5, 6, and then 12. So we can counter out of the 5, we can counter out of the 6, and we'll just take the 12. If they decide to go face and put us down to 0, we'll protect ourselves before doing that because I don't want them to play like a Goldie Roger. If that's the case, we just have to be aware of like their way to win. So yeah, 6 into face. I will just counter out of this one just to be safe. I think that's our best bet. And then Dragon. Okay, Dragon's pretty solid as well. I do think that's a pretty solid card here. 9 into face, we'll take it. And then if they decide to go... They go another 9. We actually are able to block this time, so we're not going to do like a boneheaded block. We'll boneheaded block the previous turn. This one will be smart about it and give them 3 1Ks. If we had that 2K, we wouldn't have to give them 3 1Ks though. I'll just say that. And then we can just swing all out. 7s across the board, even higher than that. We just want to bait out the leader ability first and see what they do. And I think they probably just gave up. They realized that it's over. They took the 7 without using a leader ability, so we'll just go 22 into face. And maybe, I mean, they have quite a lot of cards in hand. They have 10 cards right now. There's a world where they have a lot of counter, but 22k worth, I doubt it. We shall see. All right, so they're starting to +9 or +4, I guess. What else do they got? There's no way that they can counter out of the rest. Oh my god, rest of it was bricks. As we thought, they had a Goldie Roger in hand, so we played it well at the very end, other than making that pretty crucial mistake at that midpoint of the game. All right, and against Teach, this is an okay hand. I would like to see a 10 drop, but there's always a world where we can draw into it. If I see a Sanji's Peel-Off in hand, I'll usually keep it just because I think it's a pretty good early game play to have. So I'm okay with this hand because of that. We do have options to be able to cheat out bodies, and of course the on-play effects. If they decide to turn our on-play effects off, that's okay. Ooh, yes, we get the 10 drop here. I'm hoping that they use their leader ability to turn my on-play off so that I can cheat out this 10 drop, because the 10 drop has the on-play of bottom decking itself if you don't have a wide board. But if the on-play is turned off, then you're just able to cheat out a 10 drop. So this is a very crucial spot. If they decide to use their leader ability, then we'll play out the 10 drop Buggy. If they don't, then we'll be able to play out the 7 cost Croc and cheat out 2 big bodies. So it's very much a like pick your poison. Which one do you want? This is why this matchup's actually pretty favorable for Buggy, because it's very difficult for the Teach to decide what to do here. Would they rather deal with a wide board or a very tall board? And they use their leader ability. We'll swing 5. I'm so happy. So happy we'll be able to play out this 10 drop. We'll pitch out probably the vanilla and then just play out the 10 drop. We have for 5 a 12,000 power body. Oh my gosh, this is insane. If we had multiple of these, I would be just dying right now. This teach is like, oh man, I messed up. I messed up so big time. That's crazy. But we can actually just pressure really hard from here on out because what they're going to be able to do is not much. With 6 Dawn, me swinging like whatever I want to next turn is going to feel really good. I think that they're just kind of like stun locked right now. They're like, oh, what do I do? Let's go ahead and just take this one, see what we get. Like I said, we're just trying to build a whiteboard if we can. I think that's important here. Van Augur, I guess they're just going to try to establish a body here. We have to be aware that there is a world where they can get rid of our buggy next turn. They black hole us again, and we don't have a 10 drop, but we can cheat out stuff. I think they just gave up. I think they realized that it's just like over. Yeah, it's really tough. If you get a 10 drop that early down, like what do you do as Blackbeard? You kind of just like, all right, you win. And we go against Nami. As I've mentioned in another video, I usually use Nami as like a benchmark to see how good the deck actually is. You can use Doflamingo as like a benchmark to see how good it will do in a meta environment, but you can always use Nami as a benchmark just to see how the deck plays in general. Like, is it too fast? Is it too slow? And here I actually think that Nami is probably a decent matchup for us because we are able to cheat out a couple of big bodies here, right? We have a couple of 7-cost crocodiles ready to go. So I think we're in a good spot here. We'll swing 5 because they are tapped out. And of course they do a snap block. I would do the same thing. We'll play Sanji's Peel Off to dig further into the deck. One thing to keep in mind here is that I've noticed that Namis have started to add 1 to maybe 2 copies of Rush Usopp, which that could be a problem for us because we are pitching cards from hand. We won't have enough cards in our hand to be able to counter out of like a big Usopp swing. So something to keep in mind there. But in the meantime, we should be okay. They play Marguerite into Kaya, and they're tapped out again, so it means we can just swing 5 and then play out maybe a Crocodile into Mr. 1 Dawsbones. I think that's fine. We also... I'm not sure what we can pitch here. We might be able to pitch the 10-drop Buggy, because I don't think we're going to be able to play too many of them. But it is a good card bottom decking against Nami because it adds a card back into their deck. So it's very much anti-Nami in that sense. They get a Desert Spada trigger. We're going to pitch out the Mihawk, which maybe in hindsight that might be, thinking about it, it's probably not the best thing to pitch. We could probably just pitch the 10-drop here. I think I'm being a little bit greedy by keeping it. But regardless, we're able to get out 2 big bodies this turn. So 7s are really good against Nami, and the fact that they are just base 7s is really strong for us. Going wide against Nami is our best bet to victory. They play out the 1-cost Nami, which searches the top 5 for a blue event. There's not really much we can do about that right now. Of course, when it swings into us, then we'll be able to take care of it the next turn. They go 5 into 5. Most Namis don't attack, but maybe they're trying to get us to counter out, but I'm always going to take that. Even if they put a Dawn underneath it, I don't care. Like, I'll take it. It's fine. You're milling 1 card. That's not a big deal for me. We'll grab another 7-cost. We can pitch the... I think we should pitch the 10-cost this turn. But before we do that, let's swing 7s. Because they might have something that, like, bounces a 7 or the 5-cost back to me. So let's swing with the 5-cost first. Then we'll swing the 7. They just instantly block. That's fine. 7 into 5. Let's see if they take this one. They do. I don't know if I want to swing 6, though. 6 is not really a great number. Oh, my God. Gavel to bounce their Kaya back. That's so unlucky. That's so unlucky. We're going to pitch the Buggy to play Croc into Mr. 1 Dawsbones and then just pass the turn. The fact that they have 2 Dawn up isn't really great for me to swing 6. And the fact that they just took that, I think, is okay for me to just pass the turn because I don't want them to either mill more by using an effect to be able to easily counter out of a 6k attack. So I think it's fine to just pass at that point. One of the things against Nami is you kind of have to understand when to attack. There's like timings to attack. It's based off of the Dawn that they have open. It's actually it's an intricate matchup. This next turn, we should be able to play out this Buggy by pitching a Buggy. So I think we're in a good standing here. We can bottom deck something. Have 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 Dawn remaining. Okay. They have a Rush Usopp. Ooh. Are they going to stack the rest of it on? If they stack the rest of it on, I think I'm going to have to take because I don't have the counter for it. But then we can just really push hard because then they'll be tapped out. 6? I mean, I'll easily take this one. Yeah, for sure. I don't care. If you mill a card, I don't care. I'd rather you mill a card and then me have enough counter to counter out of the Usopp swing. Okay, Nami. Nami, what is Nami going to find? Regardless, if they go 7 here with the Usopp, I'll be able to counter out. And it should be game if that's the case, because then they're tapped out and I can have a bunch of 7s to poke at them with. Rubber Band of Doom, that's fine for us. We don't really care about that. Do they? Oh, they just decided to leave the Usopp standing upright. That's actually kind of smart here if I didn't have the 10 drop ready to go, because they're like counting on me not having it. But I do. So we'll go ahead and play out the Buggy. We'll bottom deck the Usopp. I probably should have swung with the Mr. 3 first, but it's fine. I'll just swing 5 into the Nami because why not? And then we'll swing 7s and 9s where it makes sense. 7s first, I think, is fine to just get cards out of hand. And if they decide to just like, if they counter out of all of this and they're tapped out, I'm leaving the Dawn open just in case I can play the Pilaf. I think that might make sense. I probably should have swung with the Dawes Bones, the Mr. 1s first, because they are 5 cost. There are a couple of triggers in Nami's life that bounce like 5 costs back, like just in case they get like a Snake Dance or something. That could be unfortunate, but I guess lesson learned. Maybe we should have swung with the other 5s instead. But regardless, a 5 cost would come back to me. Another trigger. They've had all 3. Oh my god, what? Did I just... self-fulfilling prophecy myself? Oh my god. Why? Why did I even say anything? Okay, we'll swing another 7 here. Let's see what they do. They just take... Okay, so they are out of cards to be able to counter out of 7k attacks with just 1 Dawn. It means they don't have the Gavel at least. So we'll go ahead and play the Peel off and pass. This next turn is going to be very interesting. If they play another Rush Usopp, we should have enough counter. But looking at my hand right now, I think we're okay. They go Boodle into Nami into Kaya. Pitching out. What are they pitching out? I can't believe that they've had like that many triggers come out of life. Quite insane. Is it 3 out of 4 life so far I've had triggers? Into a Marguerite. Okay, so it's going to be difficult to push for game here, but we have a lot of big bodies that we should be able to do. Opus. Why are they playing Opus? What are they looking for? They only have 2 active Dawn. I don't know if that was the right move. They might have... If I were them, I would have held on to the Opus. Because it's a 2k counter. But I don't know what they would be looking for at this point. They have like maybe 16, 17 cards left in deck. 18, okay. I don't know what they're looking for. I feel like it's game over anyway because they're at 18 cards left in deck and 1 life, but maybe they were looking for something specific. Kaya was what they grabbed. Instantly Boodle. That's fine. Now we just swing 9s. We go 9 because 9 is going to be very difficult for them to counter out of. Snap block. Another 9 here. They have 2 Dawn up, so there's a world where they counter out of this, but it would cost them a lot. If they have Gavel, it would be 1 Dawn plus a card out of hand plus another card out of hand, so then they would only have 1 card left. So it's Love, Love, Beam. Pitching 1 more card. Probably, okay, the Kaya. That's good. Swing 9 here because that's going to be really hard for them to counter out of. We could have swung 11, but I think 9 is just like very difficult for Nami to counter out of regardless. And 14 is 7. Oh, especially with a White Snake trigger. So 4 out of 5 life were triggers. That's pretty good odds for the Nami. Although the White Snake is probably the least consequential of the triggers that they can have, but it is what it is. And at this point, 14 is definitely overkill. They can only counter 11 if they had max. And even if they kept the White Snake in hand, they wouldn't have been able to counter out because they would have been able to get 13 max. So here we are able to close out the game just by building a wide board. Honestly, that's like the best thing to do against Nami. So Buggy, good against Nami. Who would have guessed? I really hope that we see more support come out for this leader over time, as we've seen some of the future sets come out, like the OP10 and OP11 spoilers, it doesn't look like there's too many cross-skilled cards to help this Buggy leader become better. As I mentioned, the 7-cost promo is the best bet to make this deck somewhat viable. I know that in the East, because they had the promo, there was a Buggy that did pretty well in a tournament. They were able to, like, I think finish top 8, maybe even better than that. And of course, they played Doflamingos when Doflamingos were very prevalent over there. And being able to stop all of those 3 and 4 cost bodies from attacking is huge. So Buggy with the promo, I would say, is pretty solid. Without the promo, pretty booty. It's really bad. I just don't think this deck is like worth playing, to be quite honest. I don't like being able to pitch cards out of hand to play out a board. It feels awful. Like on your 10 Dawn turn, ideally, you're able to, for 5, play a character, pitch a card from hand. And then for another 5, play a character, pitch a card from hand. So at minimum, you're getting rid of 4 cards from hand. That's why I think peel-off is very important for this deck, being able to get a huge hand size in the meantime so that you're able to then pitch things out for future turns that you might need to play out a lot of bodies. But otherwise, I just feel like this deck needs a lot of help. I wish that the leader was better. I mean, Buggy's a cool character, but gosh, this deck needs a lot of help. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting towards the end of OP09. There's a few more decks that I'd like to cover. And then we'll probably start covering some OP10 soon, because I know that it comes out in about a month. So and maybe in a few weeks, we'll start covering some OP10. Super excited for that set, of course. OP9 has been a blast. Super excited to see how these tournaments over the next month do for the Treasure Cups. I'll be participating in a few. If you are participating in some, let me know. Let me know how you do. Hopefully I do well. Hopefully we don't go against each other. But either way, appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video.